Info session on connected, cooperative and automated mobility, in short CCAM. In this session, we are going to present the two first calls for proposals in the area of CCAM under the new framework program Horizon Europe. This year, we published two calls for proposals with in total 11 RHEA topics, under which you can submit proposals for new RHEA projects. To my colleagues, Susan Krak, Tom Hulkin, and Ludger Roge from DG RTD, as well as Geert van der Linden from DG Move, will present the 11 topics in more details. As you can see from the agenda, we will start with a short introduction by Ludger, who will give you a first overview of the topics and some background information. Then we are going to present the topics in the order of the 7 main RHEA areas, which has been identified by the CCAM partnership. My colleagues will briefly present the topics. After that, we will spend time to answer your questions related to these topics. After around 15 minutes, we will continue with the presentation of the next topic. So we will do them one by one. The main purpose of this session is to interact with you and to give you the possibility to ask questions related to the CCAM course and the topics. So please do not hesitate to use Slido to ask your question. So now this is my introduction. So I would like maybe to invite Ludger to make his presentation of the background information.
Hello, everyone. This is Ludger Roge speaking from DG Research and Innovation. Welcome to this information session on connected, cooperative and automated mobility, or short CCAM. I'm happy that together with my colleagues Susanna Krak and Tom Alkin from DG Research and Innovation and Geert van der Linden from DG Move, I can present the topics on CCAM a little bit more in detail. But before doing that, let me just give you some kind of overview of the topics and some introductory remarks. So on this slide, you just get an overview of the Cluster 5 work program, and you see that the CCAM part is part of a destination number 6 dealing with transport and smart mobility services, and the CCAM part has in total 11 topics under which you can submit proposals for new research and innovation projects. Now on this slide, you see again the Cluster 5 program and you see the distribution of budget. So there is in total, the Cluster 5 program will spend more than 3 billion euros. And you see that the Cluster 5 work program implements 5 different co-program partnerships, and the CCAM partnership is one of those. So, and the overall budget of the 11 topics that we have open for CCAM is 162 million euros for the first 2 years. Now, the first call will include 6 topics, and this first call has opened on the 24th of June, and it will close on the 19th of October. And the second call, as you can see, so that will include another 5 topics, and it will open on the 14th of October this year, with a deadline for submission for the second call on the 12th of January. So all the detailed topics and topic conditions and the general information on how to prepare your proposal are available on the EC and funding tenders portal. And then you can see a link here on the top right of this slide. So I'm particularly happy that research on CCAM remains a key priority also in the new framework program Horizon Europe. So back in Horizon 2020, for the period of 2014 to 2020, we dedicated already a budget of around 300 million euros to research and innovation projects in the area of automated mobility. And now only for the first 2 years here in Horizon Europe, we, as I said already before, have a budget of more than 160 million euros. So topics under the CCAM part range from research and innovation actions, developing new in-vehicle technologies or key enabling technologies that are needed for highly automated vehicles, and they go to physical and digital infrastructure or connectivity to support CCAM. But research will also look at the validation of CCAM systems and also at solutions and ways to integrate the vehicle in the transport system. But the topics that we have opened do not only address research on technology issues, infrastructures and connectivity, they also look at societal aspects and user needs of automated vehicles. But the main priority of this call is on large-scale demonstration projects, and also we put all the biggest part of the budget on large-scale testing. So we need more demonstration projects to test the safety and performance of technologies and to test the operations in real traffic conditions and also with real users, and to assess the acceptance of these technologies and services by the users. So the content of these topics are fully in line with the objectives and the new research and innovation agenda of the new partnership, European Partnership on CCAM. And these calls can be seen as a first major step to implement the activities of this new partnership. And that means also that the definition of these 11 topics has been done in very close cooperation with the new European partnership. So let me say a few words on the partnership and also on this new research and innovation agenda that they have prepared. So the new European partnership is a public-private partnership between a huge number of different stakeholders and the European Commission, and this partnership aims to accelerate the implementation of innovative CCAM technologies and services in Europe. And its main ambition is to pool the resources and to better align all research and innovation efforts in the area of CCAM, both from the public and also from the private side. And at the moment, there are around 160 entities from industry, academia, mobility service providers, road operators, but also national and local authorities that have joined this new partnership. And I'm very happy that now the new partnership has officially been launched just a few days ago, and it is now able to start its work. Now, a few words also on the research and innovation agenda of this partnership. So this new research and innovation agenda has defined a multi-annual roadmap for 7 different research and innovation areas, or also called clusters. Vehicle technologies, you can see here, but also key enabling technologies and validation are main research areas, as well as integrating the automated vehicle in the transport system, societal and user aspects, and large-scale demonstrations at the center. You see that here in the middle. So another important part of the research and innovation agenda deals with the activities to better coordinate between the projects and the large-scale demos and to exploit synergies between them. So all these 7 research and innovation areas or clusters are now addressed by these 11 topics, so that we are going to present now in a moment to you. So on the left-hand side, you see on the slide the 7 different research and innovation areas, and on the right-hand side, you see then how the different topics are allocated to the 7 areas. And also you see the year of the call. So 2021 means that this topic is open in the first call, and 2022 means that this particular topic is open in the second call. So in the following, my colleagues and I, we are going to present to you all the 11 topics in more detail in the order of the 7 research and innovation areas. But before doing that, let me just highlight also the importance of international cooperation for this calls on CCAM. We want to strengthen links with partners from other regions of the world, and we are convinced that international cooperation can be very useful to exchange knowledge, expertise or data, and also address research questions together to exploit synergies or to work towards a global framework and international standards for connectivity and for automation technologies. So for that reason, we strongly encourage all proposals under these calls to look out for possibilities to cooperate with projects or partners from countries like Japan, in particular, also the United States, Korea, Singapore, Canada, or Australia. So with that, I would like to stop the introduction, and then we now continue with the presentation of the 11 topics. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Luger, for this presentation. Indeed, we will go one by one now, but maybe I see in the chat that there is a question on the slides to be shared. Of course, yes, like the video as well, everything will be shared. I don't know if I see another question, but I propose that we move on and that we take the question later on. Tom, the floor is yours now.
Hello, my name is Tom Alkim from DG Research and Innovation, and I would like to give you a bit more information on the 2 topics related to vehicle technologies. There's one call open right now. It's on more reliable onboard perception and decision-making technologies. It's open from June 24th, and the call deadline is later this year, October 19th. And the second call will open in October, and it will close early next year, January 12th. And this one is on occupant protection technologies and human-machine interface solutions to ensure safety of highly automated vehicles. Now, on the first topic, on the onboard perception and decision-making technologies, you can see the details here. The expected outcome of this call is that robust, transparent, and accurate systems will emerge to enable safe and reliable operation of CAVs, connected and automated vehicles, in very different operational design domains. As you know, this is the set of conditions under which an automated vehicle is able to operate. And we are looking for it to do so in more complex and larger domains. Cost-efficient sensor suites for real-time driving and decision-making of CAVs is an important factor there. And also the advanced environment and traffic recognition is important to do prediction, to limit false detections and non-detections of obstacles, and especially taking into account vulnerable road users such as pedestrians and bicyclists. In the end, the standardization mandate for performance requirements for the environment perception with respect to the different levels of automation and various operational design domains. So the scope of this topic is that proposals should address at least the following aspects. So more powerful and reliable in-vehicle perception systems should emerge with increased performance, taking into account weather conditions, accuracy-based and enhanced sensing localization, and also improved object-person classification and recognition. It's a mouthful, but basically the technology should improve in actually classifying and recognizing objects in traffic. Another element is that the system self-assessment methods should also be improved for environment perception technologies. so that the vehicle itself can also decide whether its algorithms are good enough. And onboard real-time, fail-safe, unambiguous and traceable decision-making systems for safe, connected and automated vehicles should in the end emerge of this call. The action type is an innovation action, which means that TRL levels 6 to 7 are there. In general, in the end, we would expect a higher TRL compared to the beginning of the topic. The budget is around 15 million, and there are 2 projects expected to be funded. So for each topic, that would mean 6 to 8 million. And here we would also encourage international cooperation, as it is a truly global topic. In particular, we think that US, Japan, Canada, South Korea, Singapore, and Australia are countries that could contribute. The second topic that will open soon is on the occupant protection technologies and human-machine interface solutions to ensure the safety of highly automated vehicles. So compared to traditional driving, there will be new requirements, new challenges. And we would like to see occupant protection systems for connected and automated vehicles. There may be different seating arrangements, which would also lead to different requirements. And also new advanced human-machine interface solutions as enablers for safe and efficient coexistence and interaction of these CAVs with other road users should be one of the outcomes. So it's not only related to the persons in the vehicle, it's also to traffic participants outside of the vehicle. The scope of the topic, the proposal should address all the following aspects. So the vehicle crashworthiness and advanced safety solutions in order to protect the passengers and mitigate injury risk in hopefully we won't see them too much, but in unavoidable collisions. Empathic HMI solutions, including a framework for modeling human emotions, monitoring approaches and simulation models to detect and assess occupant status, including health and level and point of attention of the driver. Improve solutions to address situations in which human drivers are expected to resume control. This can happen when the end of the operational design domain is approaching. It can be expected or unexpected. And also recommendations for user-centric HMI design guidelines. And finally, assessment tools for the developed protection technologies and advanced safety solutions in order to support the definition of safety requirements and standards ultimately. So a bit more information here. This is a research and innovation action, which means that a TRL of 5 is involved. The topic budget is 8 million euro for one project, so up to 8 million is expected to be the European contribution. Also here, international cooperation is advised with the before mentioned countries. And also we think that this topic would really benefit from the involvement of social sciences and humanities. So we encourage to take this into account as well. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Tom, for this explanation of this first topic. Before we go on question on your topic, I would like maybe to invite Ludger to reply to some questions we have received in Slido. Ludger.
Yes, hello everyone. Ludger Rogge speaking. There is one question on The budget of the first topic that has been presented by Tom, if this budget is 7.5 million or 15 million, clearly the answer is here we are talking about 15 million euros for this topic. So then there was a question about international cooperation. So international cooperation is encouraged by CCAM with Canada, Japan, etc. But can entities from these countries be considered as partners? Yes, they can be considered as partners or as associated partners, or they do not have to be even partner in the consortium. But what is clear is that there is no budget foreseen and no funding foreseen for these partners from the industrialized third countries for Horizon Europe. Only in a few very seldom exceptions this could happen, but just consider that they will not receive funding from Horizon Europe, but of course they can participate. So then the third question, are the calls in this destination only available for partners of the CCAM partnership? The clear answer is no, they are available for all types of consortia. You don't have to be part of the partnership. So everybody is open to participate and submit proposals. Thank you. Back to you, Isabel.
Thank you very much. I am wondering if we have received a question in Slido for the specific topic of Tom. I don't see that. So if you would like to raise a question to Tom, that's the right moment. Otherwise, we will move to another question. So I'll let you write your question, 1 or 2 minutes. 1, because 2 is a bit too long. Yeah.
Well, I see something coming on. So there was one question on whether the first topic would also require.
I think that I have lost you. Can someone take over?
This question is about requiring of a demonstration of an OEM. It is not clearly mentioned in the call, but of course OEMs are very, very important in this topic. So you absolutely need the participation of OEMs in this topic.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ludger. And yeah, we are not in a real situation, so sometimes we lose connection. Thank you for that. Geert, I propose now that you present your own topic.
Good morning, everybody. This is Geert van der Linden speaking, and I'm glad to present to you another couple of topics under the CCAM partnership under Cluster 5. We will first start with the topics under integrating the vehicle in the transport system, a very important area for research under CCAM. We have 2 topics in here. As usual, we have one topic for the 2021 call and another one for the 2022 call. So the one for the 2021 call is already open, and that is on the physical and digital infrastructure, and more particularly on connectivity and cooperative systems enabling and supporting CCAM. Of course, the connectivity and cooperation are the 2 C's in CCAM. The second topic for the 2022 call, which will open later this year, is on integrating CCAM services in fleet and traffic management systems. So of course, we'll go into more details on both of these topics. So starting with the physical and digital infrastructure topic, this has actually 2 different areas. The first one is specifically on the PDI, so the physical and digital infrastructure supporting CCAM. And the second one is focusing on cooperative systems as enablers for CCAM and advanced traffic management. So what that means is that the first one focuses on the whole of the infrastructure, where the second one focuses specifically on how the vehicles and the infrastructure can cooperate. So projects will address one of these two parts. Those that focus on the first part, what we expect from this is that they develop and demonstrate PDI support concepts of proven maturity. So this means that, of course, it needs to be technically feasible. It needs to be able to integrate into the existing processes of infrastructure managers. It needs to be functionally well described. In other words, it needs to work on large scales. The main goal of PDI support is to extend the operational design domain. So I think today nobody questions anymore that infrastructure can play a big role in doing this, in bringing CCAM closer to reality, having safer or more smoother traffic flows in larger geographical areas. And of course, all of this, we expect a close integration with the large-scale demonstration actions that are covered by my colleagues. So what is the scope of this part A? Well, we need to have some kind of agreed classification scheme for infrastructure support levels. The analogy isn't quite accurate, but still it helps to focus the mind. For automated vehicles, we also have different levels of automation, the SE levels that everybody that works in this domain is well aware of. So for infrastructure, we do not have a similar scheme of support levels, and this could very much help focus the mind, understand what is possible in a glance. Of course, this will stimulate EU-wide or even global harmonization for the classification of infrastructure support, and we expect it to be a strong enabler for deploying CCAM solutions. That also means we need service architectures of PDI support, so the various ITS services, as we also call them, of the infrastructure. How can they be delivered to CCAM systems? How can they work together with CCAM systems? That, of course, also means an analysis of risks and benefits and the required investments, because as the infrastructure support increasingly plays a role in the deployment and the good functioning of CCAM systems, we need to also understand what that means. How does the infrastructure, what happens if, for example, the infrastructure support is temporarily not available? How can we mitigate those risks? But also, what are the benefits? Because we are convinced there are many, but of course we need to quantify those to unlock the required investments. And then guidance towards minimum adaptations. So what is the minimum? What can we really recommend? What is something that would, for example, also benefit human drivers, and therefore is a no-brainer as far as upgrading of the infrastructure goes? That was for part A. For part B, as I said, this focuses specifically on connectivity solutions and even more specifically on cooperative solutions. So the infrastructure and the vehicles, the CCAM solutions, communicating with each other to really get the most timely information exchange and cooperation models. That means, of course, that we need to well understand how these connectivity and CITS solutions are enablers. What are the needs, the real needs for higher levels of automation? Where can CCAM solutions, automated vehicles, get the most benefit from? And therefore also, if we accept that these are strong enablers, what are then the requirements for the availability and performance of connectivity and cooperation? We need, of course, to ensure quality. We need to ensure trust in the data exchanged between the different parties. We need to have common definitions meeting requirements also of cross-border interoperability and of course continuity of service. What that means is it simply needs to work for all vehicles and all infrastructure. Because we know vehicles cross borders, they go from one city to another, and we expect this infrastructure support to simply work for all vehicles all the time. Of course, we need then also feasible and sustainable connectivity concepts. So we need to understand where do we invest first, what are the hotspots, for example, in the infrastructure, where investments makes most sense. What is the scope? Well, actions should address and sufficiently test all the following aspects in real traffic conditions. The provision of data and services through various communication channels that go from, for example, on the road status, traffic and weather conditions, that all can increase the functionality of CCAM services. This, of course, is not something new. We have already deployed and invested for many years in digital infrastructure, notably on intelligent transport system services, and for the last 6 years already also on cooperative intelligent transport systems. So this, of course, is expected to build on that, to expand that, to particularly look at how these become enablers for automation and what are the next generation of services that we need to build on that on that same communication infrastructure. And again, I already mentioned interoperability is, of course, vital. It needs to work everywhere for everybody all the time. So that means backwards compatibility with everything that has been deployed already, but at the same time, looking forward, developing the next generation of services, and also taking into account a wide range of current and future technologies. This is an innovation action. We expect this to go to technology readiness levels of 6 to 7. The budget is 18 million euros with expected contributions from our side of 7 to 9 million, which of course means we are looking at funding 2 different projects. That makes sense. We also had 2 parts. So I guess in an ideal world, we would also have 1 project for part A and 1 project for part B. Going on to the second topic, this is about integrating CCAM services in fleet and traffic management systems. Of course, the idea here is that those systems exist already today, but the increased connectivity and the increased CITS systems that were part of the previous, part B of the previous topic, allow a closer integration of all these various systems. So the idea, of course, is also to not only benefit those existing systems, but also, even more importantly, the integration of CCAM vehicles into the entire mobility system. So what are the things that we would be addressing here is to develop and demonstrate concepts of traffic and fleet management that take into account new possibilities for new mobility business cases, for example, to organize more smartly logistics, public or private transport services, etc. We would also address technology gaps to foster vehicle integration, looking at communication also between vehicles and better maneuver the coordination and orchestration concepts. So how can a fleet manager better take into account, for example, also live traffic management information? We need to demonstrate that when we do this, we can realize traffic efficiency gains, we can organize the load on the mobility network better, and we can better balance the entire load. A fleet manager could do that, but also a traffic manager could do that. We need to look at intermodal interfaces. So in other words, not only balancing the load on the road network, but also looking at links with other modes, maybe offloading, better managing these transitions between different modes, and looking at interoperability between traffic management systems across modes. That will require advanced simulation models and tools that help assessing these new traffic management strategies. Of course, we want to demonstrate that this added level of smartness really brings the benefits that we are confident they will. And that all of that will only happen if we have effective cooperation and governance models for operating CCAM services. This is again an innovation action. The same, we are aiming again at technology readiness levels of 6 to 7. Budget in this case is 10 million euros with expected contributions of 4 to 5 million euros, which again means we're looking at funding 2 different projects. That concludes this part of the topics that I present. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Geert, for this presentation. I need to apologize. We had some streaming issues. Now I understand that it is fixed. So, but no worry. We will have the video recording available online. So for the part you have missed, you can re-watch our video later on. I see some questions in the Slido, maybe of general nature. So maybe Ludger, you could take them.
Yes, thank you, Isabel. I see one question again concerning the expected EU contribution per project. That information is already available in the work program as such. Please have a look there. If it is on the portal and you think that there is the information not right, I will double check, but I think normally this kind of information is already, at least in the work program, it is for sure there. So you get all the information for the expected e-contribution per project. So then there was another question of a general nature which related to the partnership. Not specific now to this topic, but I can quickly answer or try to answer how much to join the partnership for small and medium enterprises. There are different rates for different types of participants, but I think since we are not directly involved in the management and of the CCAM association, I can guess that the contribution for the SMEs is relatively small, a few hundreds of euros or maybe up to 1,000 euros per year. I think that is more or less the range of fees that you have to pay for the annual fee for joining the partnership. But I can also give you further information on that. If you want to have very specific information about the partnership, there is also in one of the slides a new website to the partnership, and where you can get all the information you're looking for also to join the partnership. Thank you very much.
Apologize. Have we also answered the question related to the topic? I see two questions. Tom, no need to reply to them.
Which questions are that, Isabel?
So there is a question of if there is an involvement of the onboard hardware development.
Yeah, those two. I guess they went missing during the technical problem. So for the hardware, it is it can be included, but it is not necessary. So if it is deemed necessary by the consortium, it can be included. And the other question was on the demonstration, and I think that the question there is whether an OEM needs to be involved in the consortium, because the way I read it, the question is, will it require a demonstration, so also an OEM? I guess it's not necessary that a original equipment manufacturer is needed. There can be also demonstrations with other partners, but it's probably favorable.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
Geert, there is a question for you.
Yes, thank you, Isabel. Indeed, the SE levels 4 or 5, we have not specified those explicitly. I mean, projects proposals are free. However, our expectation and our ambition is that we are working on level 4. The main reason is that we want to expand the operational design domains to make sense from a mobility point of view, but also from a business case point of view. And that, of course, means that the ODD needs to be sufficiently large. However, we don't think it will be possible within the time frame of this partnership to go to level 5, because that essentially means that the operational design domain becomes everywhere. And frankly, we don't need a single vehicle to be able to drive everywhere. The expectation is rather that we have specialized vehicles optimized for the environment they're designed to work in, together with existing mass or public transport, to build a more sustainable and smarter mobility system. So we do not need a single vehicle that can cover everything, because that vehicle by definition cannot be optimized, because it needs to be able to cover everything. And well, the expectation is also that it will be very difficult to be able to do that. But the key message is it's also not necessary.
Thank you, Geert, for this explanation. And I propose that we move on and that we talk about the next topic, the cluster 4, apologize, which is also for you, Geert.
Another set of topics. This time we're going to look at the area key enabling technologies. And we have again 2 topics. And again, one for call 2021, so already open, and another one for call 2022, which means that the call will be opening later this year. So the first topic is on cybersecure and resilient CCAM, where the second topic is focusing on artificial intelligence, and more specifically on explainable and trustworthy concepts, techniques, and models for CCAM. Let's dive into the details. The first topic on cybersecurity. When we look at CCAM, when we look at the new generation of vehicles, it is easy to understand that as they are more connected, as they rely on digital technologies, digital systems, there comes the increased threat of cybersecurity. So we need to address that. We need to make sure that these systems are resilient, and that they remain functionally safe, even when they rely so heavily on digital technologies. That also means that we need to make sure that cybersecurity and resilience are included as an integral part in the development process of CCAM solutions. So that is what we are looking for. What is the scope of this project? First of all, to develop and validate methods and tools for strengthening the security of CCAM solutions. Of course, when we develop those, we want to promote easy to use and reuse best practices in cybersecurity. Things that come to mind are architecture, the design and implementation patterns. Of course, this needs to follow a systems approach. This is, of course, related to the fact that when vehicles are so closely working together, either with other vehicles or with the infrastructure, with fleet management systems, then we cannot focus on a unique vehicle alone when we're looking at cybersecurity, but we need to look at the entire value chain and address cybersecurity at each level. And then, of course, we need to have methods to continuously assess the robustness and resilience of CCAM-enabled mobility solutions, because of course, threats that are not yet present at the time when the systems are initially developed might arise later. So we need to make sure that systems remain continuously work in a safe manner. This is a RHEA, Research and Innovation Action. The technology readiness level is set, we expect it to go up to 5. The budget of the topic is 12 million euros, and we expect to contribute 5 to 6 million euros per project, which of course means we expect to fund 2 different projects. If we then move to the second topic on artificial intelligence, what are we looking for? We're looking for concepts for artificial intelligence, specifically looking or to be used in CCAM applications, but not only to but the most obvious ones, such as steering the vehicle, but also can be linked to the previous topic. In other words, artificial intelligence can also be used for cyber threat detection and mitigation. Of course, we need to have a clear understanding of the capabilities, but also the limitations of AI-based systems for CCAM. And at the same time, if we want to increase user acceptance at an early stage, we also need to be able to understand how AI works. It needs to be explainable, therefore trustworthy and human-centric. So what will the proposals address to achieve these outcomes? Well, first of all, we're looking for supporting the development and integration of artificial intelligence in CCAM. So this involves unbiased concepts, techniques, and models to make sure that AI is indeed adding to this explainability, to the human-centric nature, and therefore fostering user acceptance. There are, of course, with new techniques and new developments come knowledge gaps, and we need to make sure that we have sufficiently organized training and validation approaches for artificial intelligence. And we need to look at efficient and ethical approaches for data handling. When we have large amounts of data that are handled in an automatic manner by AI, we need to understand how that works. We need to make sure that there are no biases in the system that come from the way the system was either developed or trained. That means also we need to build on existing and generated data for training, and because this will help verifying that AI does indeed support situational awareness, for example, for more complex traffic scenarios. In this case, again, this is a research and innovation action. Technology readiness level again stands at 5, and we have a budget of 12 million euros, which with the expected contributions of 5 to 6 million euros, again, we are hoping to fund 2 different projects. That finishes my presentation for these topics, and I look forward to questions on them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Geert, for this presentation. I would like to look at Slido to see if we have questions. I understand that we have one at least. Maybe Ludger could reply to that one.
Yes, thank you, Isabel. This is again a question which is not directly related to the topic that Geert has just presented. That this is a question of general nature now for the funding rate for innovation actions. So the question is, why did the funding rate for companies in innovation actions drop to 60% for the partnerships compared to 70% under Horizon 2020? Well, this is a funding rate that has been agreed now for all innovation actions for all the partnerships. That is at least now the case for the work program 2021 and 2022. That the main reason for that, I think, is mainly related to increase now also the leverage effect now for the partnerships. There are discussions now. I don't know. We have to see whether this is going to continue also for the next work programs. But now for this work program, it's clearly 60%. This funding rate, as you can read, both applies to members and non-members of the partnership, with the exception of non-profit legal entities, where the funding rate is up to 10% of the total eligible costs. As you know, the funding rate for research and innovation actions is 100%. Thank you very much. Back to you, Isabel.
Thank you. I've really looked at all the questions on Slido. I'm trying to see if we have received new question. No new question. Okay, maybe colleagues, could we clarify a bit some points? Maybe when we were exchanging, preparing together, you said, well, maybe we can give this extra information to the let's say the candidates who will make a proposal. Could we give more information, for example, on the SSH, maybe? Who could help?
Yeah. Yes, Isabel, I can take the SSH question.
Thank you.
I know that it's good maybe to clarify a little bit and to elaborate a little bit on this. So indeed, the inclusion of social science and humanities in research, and particularly research that is technologically oriented, is quite crucial. So this is social and behavioral sciences. This is also education science, business administration, law, humanities, and so on. And so this really, SSH plays a crucial role to really sort of foster a multidisciplinary understanding of current and future challenges that we're facing, and to propose the most nuanced and tailored innovative solutions. So you see that there's an SSH flag on some of the topics, because this is also particularly true when it comes to our digital and green transitions. And for CCAM, this is important because the innovative solutions that are being cooked up as we speak will actually benefit from this interdisciplinary approach. I mean, whether this is demography or psychology, which is already the case with HMI, and this will allow for a successful long-term deployment. And we often talk about public acceptance as a key challenge, and this will also foster acceptance and trust, because it will integrate a more nuanced and reflexive understanding of the topic into the research. And so SSH is a key cross-cutting principle throughout the Horizon Europe program. And so topics that have been flagged should have proposals that integrate this SSH perspective and have it clearly stated. And I think that there is also an information session tomorrow on cross-cutting issues if there needs to be more information on that. So I recommend people and participants to join that session as well tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Suzanne, for this explanation. I think that we have received one question. Ludger, would you reply to this question?
Yes, of course, Isabel. This is again maybe related to the answer that I've given before. It's about the funding rate for innovation actions. Yes, indeed, they refer to topics which are related to the partnerships. But I always recommend you, if you are interested in a certain topic, that you really look under the core conditions, and there the funding rate is always specified. Thank you.
Thank you, Ludger, for this clarification. I propose that we move on, and I think that now it's for you, Ludger, to present the cluster 5 topic.
So now I'm going to present to you the two topics which are related to the validation of CCAM systems. And the first topic that we have here on this slide deals with common approaches for safety validation, and this topic will be open now in the first call on 2021. And the second topic that you can see here on the slide is about developing a human behavioral model, and this topic will be open in the second call. So let us start with the first topic. So this topic is about common approaches for the safety validation of CCAM systems. You know, a precondition for the overall acceptance and for the market introduction of CCAM systems is to show in a transparent way that CCAM systems are safe. So therefore, there is a strong need to establish common methodologies and tools for the safety validation of CCAM systems, which are accepted by all important stakeholders, including the industry and research partners, the authorities and certification bodies, but also consumer testing campaigns for the safety rating of automated vehicles. So different assessment methods for automated driving functions have already been developed. For example, there is one ongoing Horizon 2020 project called Head Start, which develops right now validation concepts for a limited number of use cases. But however, common standard methodologies meeting all the requirements for testing, validation, and certification of all levels and use cases of automated driving do not exist yet. So therefore, the projects under this topic should come up with first common verification and validation methodologies and tools. So the proposed actions should bring the development of common verification and validation methodologies to a new level by widening substantially the scope of use cases and by preparing the required tools to enable the comprehensive safety verification and validation of CCAM systems. So these methodologies that should be developed by the project should consider a wide range of use cases, taking into account mixed traffic situations, functional safety issues, as well as cybersecurity. So these methodologies should be based on scenario-based approaches combining virtual and physical testing. Secondly, the projects should also come up with commonly accepted and harmonized simulation environment to enable the virtual testing of CCAM functions and systems in a multitude of relevant test cases. Thirdly, and this is very important for this topic, is that proposed actions should establish a EU-wide and openly accessible database of safety critical scenarios based on an agreed structure and harmonized scenario description. And finally, proposals should also develop common recommendations for harmonization, standardization, and homologation, including the conceptual description of an approval scheme for CCAM systems, considering all types of vehicles. So on this slide, you see some practical details. So we are looking here for a research and innovation action. And we have an overall budget available of 15 million euros. We are looking for one project under this topic, and the estimated EU contribution of this project is between 12 and 15 million. So now I'm coming to the second topic. So the second topic on validation is about developing a human behavioral model. So this means a model of the performance of human drivers in many different driving scenarios. This is what we are looking for in order to be able to validate if CCAM systems are safe. So we have to be able to assess the performance of CCAM systems compared to the human driver. But for this, we need a much better understanding of the human driving performance. So, and this better understanding can be achieved through a human behavioral model, which should replace the full performance spectrum, which should replicate the full performance spectrum of human drivers. And this model can then be used as a reference for assessing the performance of CCAM systems in terms of reducing the number of fatalities and crashes, and also for defining and verifying the required levels of safety of CCAM systems. So we are still missing a lot of information on the precise performance of humans in many different driving situations that might be critical for automated driving systems. So human behavior depends on a huge number of different factors, like, for example, gender, cultural or ethnic background, aging, or driving experience. And data on all those factors which have an impact on the human driving behavior is partly available only from previous research, but not sufficiently broken down to the level of specific driving situations. So there are already different software models which simulate human driving behavior, but these cover only specific aspects of human driving performance so far and do not cover the full spectrum of drivers. So proposed actions under this topic should develop a robust and scalable reference model for human driving behavior with the potential to cover all relevant aspects of human driving performance, as well as the broad spectrum of drivers and influencing factors. So at the same time, this model should be used as a reference for the automotive industry and its research and innovation partners to design human-like and therefore easily predictable and acceptable behavior of automated driving functions in mixed traffic. So linked to the human behavioral model, proposals should also develop a methodology to extract consistent data on human driving performance from different data sources and collect also such data. So proposals should calibrate the parameters of this model with the help of this kind of data and develop a corresponding validation concept based on real-world experiments. So the model should be validated at least for a number of selected fields of application with the perspective of extending these fields of application gradually, so step by step, and also simulating human behavior in future scenarios of mixed traffic. So that about the scope of this topic, and here you see also the information on the budget. So for this topic, we are going to fund only one project as well, for which we have a budget of up to 8 million euros, and the estimated EU contribution for the proposals is between 7 and 8 million euros. So projects under this topic should be research and innovation actions. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you for the presentation. I think that we have received questions in Slido. Could we look at them? Yes, I see a question for Tom. Tom, would you like to take the question?
Yes, of course. Which question is this, on the level 4 or 5?
Yes.
So the question is, do calls require to address automation level 4 or 5? Well, it's quite utopic to address level 5. That's what we're all after. So this is not something that we can require. So level 4 is what we are aiming at. Of course, for some analysis looking at the societal impact, it's nice to have like a future view looking towards a level 5. But realistically speaking, if the operational design domain is large enough for level 4, it will bring almost all of the benefits that we are looking for. So the answer here is level 4 is sufficient.
Okay, thank you. Maybe you can take the other one. So there was a question of how safety critical event is defined. Could you try to answer this question?
Yes, I can certainly try. I mean, of course, there can be a lot of definitions for safety critical events, and I don't think that we have cast this in stone. Of course, what we are after with automated driving is to make the performance of vehicles safer than human driving. And of course, critical events like crashes, near collisions, are one category, but you can also think about trying to define the behavior of the vehicle that you expect, so to behave in a safe manner. So it could also be avoiding certain short headways in traffic, or also for the interaction with other traffic participants like pedestrians and bicyclists. You can think that there will be new definitions of the type of behavior that we are after. So not all definitions are already predefined, I would say. I hope this answers the questions good enough. Of course, with these online events, it's very difficult to see if the person who asked the question is nodding or not.
Indeed, indeed. I think that we had another question, maybe that Ludger could answer.
Yes, thank you, Isabel. There was another question on the TRL level. So what is the minimum level of maturity expected of the project? Well, first of all, this depends of the project, whether it's a research and innovation action or an innovation action. What we have always specified in the work program and in the topic description is the maximum TRL. That should be achieved by the end of the project. We have not specified the minimum TRL for neither for innovation actions nor for research and innovation actions. So that's why I cannot answer this question, what the minimum level is. We only specify what the maximum TRL level should be at the end of the project. So it is up to the proposers to decide where they want to start.
Thank you very much.
Isabel.
Maybe when we were preparing the session, we were wondering if we should clarify another topic, which is the link with the testing facility of the GRC. Could one of you reply to the question of if the proposers could make use of the testing facilities of the GRC?
Thank you, Isabel. I can do that with pleasure. You can read in the introduction part under the destination, there is a reference to the testing facilities at the Joint Research Center. So proposals that plan to test CCAM solutions, for them there is a possibility to involve the European Commission's Joint Research Center, or called JRC, by making use of the relevant expertise that they have in physical testing facilities. So the JRC is opening some of their research sites, especially the one in Ispra in Italy, to host living labs. So, and these living labs can be used to test automated vehicles or any other new mobility systems or services in real life environments. In the description, as I said, of the destination, you can find also a link to the JRC Living Labs for future urban ecosystems. So this is just an offer, of course, to the proposers. It is, of course, not an obligation to involve the JRC. It is really completely up to the proposers now to choose and to decide their testing grounds or testing facilities. Back to you, Isabel.
Thank you, Ludger, for this proposal. I have also seen that the term social innovation was mentioned in the introductory text of CCAM, the CCAM topics. So can we explain what really it means? I don't know if it is still you, Ludger, who could reply to this question, or other colleagues could answer quickly.
No. I can take this one. I can take the question on social innovation, Isabel, because again, it's another concept that is worthy of being explained a little bit further. So social innovation is really about connecting society with innovation. So it's about proposing new ideas, whether these are products or services or methods or models that originate in a process that empower communities, but also businesses in sort of co-creating these solutions and the ideas together. And so it's about reflecting collectively on problems or challenges that we are facing and that need to be solved, and this from an early stage, and to not leave this reflection to a handful of actors or to do this in a unilateral way. So social innovation, actually, it really puts the focus on bringing different actors together, from the problem identification to the innovation design, development, and implementation stages. And so this includes civil society, it includes national and regional public authorities, municipalities, academia, research and technology organizations. And so for CCAM in particular, this is very important because social innovation will help to generate bottom-up solutions to challenges that are actually currently being faced in research. And so it makes innovation sort of more relevant because it increases their buy-in, and also it boosts their diffusion. So this also, social innovation will help to ensure public acceptance and trust in these new technologies. And this is also why we have a topic on social needs and socioeconomic impact. because we have to have these inclusive discussions at all levels. Voilà, back to you.
Thank you very much for this explanation. And I propose now that we move to the next topic. And I think that this topic is for you, Susanne.
Hello to all. My name is Susanne Kraak, and I will present now topic number 5 on societal aspects and user needs. The full title of which you can now see on the screen. This topic has been opened on June 24th and has a deadline of October 19th, 2021. Allow me to tell you more about this topic, which is about the broader societal aspects related to CCAM, in particular socioeconomic environmental impacts, but also citizen and user needs to develop tailored CCAM solutions. As you can see, this topic has been divided, into 2 parts. We have here part A, which is about the analysis of social, economic, and environmental impacts of CCAM systems and services. And then we also have area B, which is about the assessment of societal, citizen, and user aspects for needs-based CCAM solution development and deployment. Proposals will either have to respond to part A or to part B for this topic. Let's get more into details. So there has been a lot of focus on the technological development and design of CCAM, but for its solutions to be truly successful, a comprehensive understanding of its effects on a collective and also individual level is needed. From short to long-term, proposed actions should really reflect the realities of a society with changing mobility, digital, and environmental needs. So these must be accounted for in subsequent technological research on CCAM, in particular when it comes to large-scale demonstrations. It is also very important also for this topic to focus on the effective contribution of social science and humanities, but also to encourage social innovation in terms of empowering and collaborating with a variety of different communities, from citizens, experts, decision makers, innovators, to come together and to co-create effective and long-term solutions. So here, as you can see for part A, the key focus is on the short, medium, and long-term societal and environmental impacts and risks of CCAM systems and services, whether this is on public health, on land use and infrastructure, on accessibility, affordability, working conditions and required skills, air quality. As you can see, expected outcomes are, therefore methods and indicators to assess these impacts of CCAM solutions, but then also tools that can facilitate the design and decision-making of various stakeholders based on this integrated understanding of all possible short, medium, and long-term effects. And finally, and also importantly, this will provide inputs for the design and evaluation of large-scale demonstration projects, but also public engagement activities in order to realistically inform users and also non-users of CCAM capabilities and expectations. The scope, as you can see, is to take a systems perspective and to develop comprehensive impact assessment methods that cover the full range of effects of CCAM to avoid negative rebound effects. And this is also a good opportunity to take into account under-researched fields in terms of impact assessments, such as the inclusion of underserviced areas or specific population groups. And then we have part B. Part B is about the societal, citizen, and user needs that have to be assessed in order to develop effective and needs-based CCAM solutions. Research typically focuses on user acceptance in terms of driver needs, in terms of increasing driver performance and experience, but there should also be a wider examination of CCAM solutions in terms of inclusiveness, accessibility, and equity. So people with different income levels, people with different digital experience and literacy and digital access, as well as people living in rural or peri-urban areas, they also need to be included in these assessment criteria. So these different needs, all of them have to be considered in the design and development phases of CCAM. So here, as you can see, expected outcomes range from developing methods and measures that capture the mobility needs of European citizens, and therefore also to map these expectations, concerns, and desires, not only of these users, but also non-users, of implementers, of decision makers with regards to CCAM solutions. And similar to part A, to develop tools for CCAM developers, deployers, but also public authorities to implement user-centered CCAM solutions. Finally, and again, importantly, these assessments will provide very useful input and recommendations for large-scale demonstration projects to take into account these specific user needs and societal aspects, as well as, again, to realistically communicate about CCAM to the public. The scope, as you can see, similar to part A, is to take a systems perspective, to understand and to better understand user and societal needs, desires, and expectations towards CCAM, to focus also on some research gaps related to equity, related to digital access, and to map the broad range of concerns and expectations on CCAM, and to involve a wide variety of stakeholders, and again, ultimately create new ways to communicate about CCAM with users, future users and non-users, which will be key to foster public acceptance and trust. Here we have some practical information on this topic, number 5. It is a research and innovation action for which there will be a budget of 8 million euros. The expected EU contribution is 3 to 4 million, and we have 2 proposals that can be funded out of this topic. Again, some remarks. Expertise from social science and humanities is strongly encouraged, as well as international collaboration. Thank you very much for listening, and I will take questions now if needed.
Thank you, Susanna, for this presentation. Indeed, I think that we have received a question for you. Can we see the Slido? So, so you see there is one question for you. If you could take it, Susanna.
Yes, sure. So on the question, if there's a preferred type of organization for leading these proposals, no, I mean, there's not a leading or sort of a preferred type of organization for this topic to make a proposal on this topic. But obviously, like I just mentioned, I mean, social innovation for this topic is key. The inclusion of SSH disciplines is also key. So this is obviously very important. Organizations working on that or fostering sort of an interdisciplinary approach to address these topics is obviously a added value, but there's no preferred type of organization. Everybody can make a proposal.
Thank you, Susanna. I see that there is back a question of GRCs. Ludger, would you like to take it?
Yes, thank you, Isabel. There is another question on the involvement of the GRC testing facilities. So if applicants want to make use of this, does this mean that the JRC should be involved as a project partner? Well, that is something that you could then also negotiate with the JRC, but there is a possibility that they become partner. Without any doubt, and they, I think, very much willing to support you in setting up the testing facilities. And that is then up to clarify with JRC, but I'm sure they would be quite open to that. In any case, to my understanding, the JRC can participate, but they will not ask for EC funding. Thank you. Back to you, Isabel.
Thank you. I'm waiting a bit to see if we have a new question on Slido on the presentation made by Susanna and the previous presentation. If not, I propose that we move ahead and we take the next presentation. Tom, the floor is yours.
Hello, my name is Tom Alkim, and I would like to give a bit more information on the topic on coordination. So topic 2021 D6-0106 is called a framework for better coordination of large-scale demonstration pilots in Europe and EU-wide knowledge base. It is open right now, and the call deadline is in October 19th of this year. So what is this call about? It has two objectives. One objective is related to the fact that we would like to see a European framework for testing on public roads. And this should include common approaches for the evaluation and also for test data exchange. And this is all related to large-scale demonstration pilots taking place in Europe. The second part is to create a EU-wide knowledge base on connected, cooperative and automated mobility. So the proposed actions under this topic must address both areas, A and B. And the expected outcome, therefore, is that we would like to see a common framework for large-scale demos, including the definition of use cases, its various operational design domains, a European common evaluation methodology, a test data exchange framework, harmonized conditions and processes for the tests of connected, cooperative and automated mobility, an extended CCAM knowledge base, and also tools and processes for networking and exchange of experiences. So here is a little bit more on both parts. It's not that we have to start from scratch, because part A on the framework for coordination of CCAM demonstrations in Europe can work also on some of the work that has been done in the working group 2 of the CCAM platform over the past 2 years. And it should establish a well-structured overview of all available European evaluation methodologies. It should also develop a common evaluation framework and methodology with common indicators for large-scale demonstration pilots. Also here, some work has already been done, so it's not necessary to start from scratch. A test data exchange framework also needs to be developed, and a European framework for testing on public roads based on criteria for mutual recognition of procedures. This would really help to make it more efficient to test in different member states without having to invent the wheel every time again. Part B on the knowledge base, there is already a European-wide knowledge base, which you can find on the website connected and automated driving.eu. And this should be extended. So what is there should be extended. And that would include that it needs to be up to date. So up to date information on projects and programs should be added. But also knowledge summaries, lessons learned, best practices, guidelines, toolkits, and maybe more elements can be added and expanded. It should therefore continuously be maintained to keep it up to date. And supporting this would also require to have a network and forum of experts in different thematic fields of research and innovation related to CCAM. And various activities to support international cooperation, also to exchange knowledge and information and experience should be part of that. This action type is a research and innovation action. The total budget available is approximately 6 million euro, and it's only one expected project to be funded. So if you have more questions on this, let us know.
Thank you, Tom, for this presentation. Again, let's go and see in Slido if we have received questions. Yes, we have received one. Susan, for you.
Yes, so about the systems approach perspective for topic number 5. So what this really means is that, I mean, often the effects of CCAM are understood in a sort of a technological, sort of maybe narrow sense. And it is very important for this topic to take a systems perspective, meaning to have a broader understanding of the effects and impacts of CCAM, not just on the short term and not just in a technological sense, so based on the technology, but also very much in a broader way on the precisely user needs, user expectations, sort of the broader societal and social, economic, and also environmental impact. So in that sense, there needs to be a systems perspective to really understand the sort of the nuanced essence of this topic. And so this is why again, we have a focus on SSH to have a sort of a wide variety and broader outlook to address this topic. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you. Maybe another question. There was in the presentation a point on the large-scale demo project. Could we clarify a bit this point?
Thank you, Isabel, for this point. But I guess that we can do that maybe after the last presentation that we have on large-scale demonstration projects. Maybe some things will already clearer then, but then I can still come back to that after we have had the presentation. Is that okay?
Yes, okay. Yes,
Okay.
indeed. And I propose maybe that we move on to this presentation.
Topic. This topic is about supporting large-scale demonstration projects. It will be this topic will be published in the second call, which will open in October, and it will close in January next year. So with a budget of 50 million euros, this topic is by far the biggest topic that we have. Now, with this budget, we want to co-finance 2 large-scale demonstration projects which shall demonstrate shared automated mobility solutions for people and goods, or for both even. So large-scale demonstration pilots are fundamental to increase the maturity and the safety of technologies, and to better assess the potential impacts and the acceptance by users. So therefore also the new European partnership puts a particular focus on large-scale demonstrations. According to the recently developed research and innovation agenda of the partnership, even 30 or even more demonstration sites for people, freight and logistics with explicit results are planned by 2030, so by the end of the partnership. So proposed actions should take into account, of course, the work of previous projects and ongoing projects also financed by Horizon 2020, and they should compare to these projects more ambitious in terms of involving more mature technologies and testing automated driving systems in additional and in more complex use cases and in extended operational design domains. Furthermore, large-scale demos should demonstrate innovative cross-sector business models. So for this, it is essential that all proposals make sure that there is a wide range of stakeholders that are involved in the project. For example, stakeholders like cities, local authorities, infrastructure operators, public transport companies, operators, logistics service providers, and also civil society organizations. They all should be actively involved in the projects, in the design and in the implementation of these tests. So projects should also include that there is a comprehensive assessment of all impacts of the tested CCAM solutions to be able to show to what extent now these projects and these tests can contribute, for example, to better safety and security, but also to reduced carbon footprint and harmful emissions. And also, very importantly, to reduce congestion and to contribute to more reliable and predictive travel times, and in total more efficient transport operations. It's also important to notice that the vehicles that should be part of the testing of these innovative concepts should all use zero-emission technology. So that is very important to take into consideration. Now, for the scope of these proposed actions, firstly, what should they include? First of all, these projects should implement a set of European demonstrators of smart, shared automated mobility and automated logistics solutions in real traffic conditions. So these solutions should be tested in ambitious and realistic operational domains. So this means that the CCAM solutions should be, on the one hand, ambitious in terms of speed and complexity of the environment they operate in, and on the other hand, they should also be realistic in terms of scalable business models. We are looking for the demonstration of projects focusing on shared mobility solutions. So that's very important, supported by automated driving solutions. So we are thinking of shuttles, automated minibuses, or robot taxis, which are fully integrated into the public transport systems. So this means that we want to test mobility concepts, shifting design and development from a driver-centered to a mobility user-oriented approach, providing viable alternatives for private vehicle ownership. Secondly, testing should include the safe interaction with the user and with other road users, specifically vulnerable road users such as pedestrians and cyclists. So the demonstration project should also include a testing of key enabling technologies and should also include testing of physical and digital infrastructure support and also solutions for optimized traffic and fleet management. Thirdly, the demonstrations should address user and customer needs. So very important, proposed actions should show that the solutions that will be tested will be developed based on a comprehensive analysis of users and customer needs. And there should be a particular attention to the differences in mobility patterns by gender, age, disability, or other social groups. Therefore, it is important that the future projects try to achieve, to involve user groups throughout the different phases of the projects. So the different phases starting from the designing, developing, and testing of these systems. Finally, proposals should also cooperate closely with the project resulting from the 2020 topic dealing with the coordination of large-scale demonstration pilots in Europe and the EU-wide knowledge base. So proposals should apply the common evaluation framework that for large-scale demos that will be developed, and they should also test the data exchange framework. And the project should also contribute to the European database of relevant scenarios that I have presented previously in one topic under the validation area. So now on the next slide, you see what is more details on this topic. So the project is an innovation action. That means the focus of the action should be clearly on testing, demonstrating, and piloting new technologies. And the proposed action should go up to a technology readiness level 7. As I mentioned already before, the expected EU contribution per project is up to 25 million, and the overall budget of this topic is 50 million euros. So with that, thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia, for this presentation. Let's look at the Slido to see if we have questions. Okay, we have one. Who could answer this question?
Well, I try to. Thank you, Isabel. The question is for the framework of testing. You are waiting for more real cross-border testing pilots between member states, or only some proof of concepts for testing? Well, to be honest, I really don't understand the question. We in the topic that I just presented, to my knowledge, we were not asking for cross-border testing here necessarily. But maybe you can try to clarify this question a little bit more so that I can understand. Maybe also Tom or Gert, you would like to come in.
I can come in, but and not with a clear answer. But there also seems to be another question on cross-border testing, whether it is more expected in one or the other topic. I guess ultimately the answer is for CCAM to be effective, it has to be cross-border in the end. So it is always an advantage if it can be done and demonstrated. So with this in mind, I guess it kind of applies to most of the topics that we describe. It's not always a necessity, but it is certainly an advantage if you can demonstrate that it can be done cross-border. But again, here it's a pity that we do not have the real-life interaction with the people asking the questions to better answer.
Now, to be clear on the first question, it is not now an obligation that you have to have cross-border testing pilots now in the large-scale demo. What we are expecting is you have a set of testing tests in different parts of Europe, but you do not have, at least for this topic that I just presented, you don't have to have real cross-border testing pilots. That's not an obligation. Thank you. Back to you, Isabel.
Thank you for this answer, or trying to answer the question. Have we received in the meantime new question in Slido or clarification question in Slido? Let's look at that. I think that we have replied to both of them, I guess, yes. So I do not see new questions. So we are now, I think I will let you 1 minute more if you want to submit one question.
Isabel, if I may, maybe I can try to answer the question that you had before. On the large-scale demonstration projects, what do we mean by that? Maybe we can try to clarify this a little bit. So there is no minimum requirement. So we do not expect now in a large-scale demonstration project that you should have 100 vehicles on the road, like it was the case, for example, for the L3 pilot project in Horizon 2020. We do not give any kind of minimum requirements regarding the number of tests or regarding the number of vehicles that should be used in the large-scale demo. But what you have to prove is that these tests should include, of course, a series of vehicles which allow to collect sufficient data to test the performance of the technologies in real-life conditions, and also to test the behavior and then the expectations. What is also important, next to the number of vehicles, I think you should also look at the duration of the demonstrations and also at the size of the operational design domains, and also at the type of drivers. So as I said, just to give you a reference, for the L3 pilot project, we had around 100 vehicles that are currently being tested, but this does not mean that you have to have the same amount of vehicles. It's also important that this large-scale demonstration is not only about testing technologies, but it's more about testing and testing vehicles, but it's more about testing mobility services which are enabled by automated driving technologies. And you have to make sure and demonstrate that they are well integrated with the infrastructure and with the existing public transport system. Okay, maybe colleagues would like to add something on that. Otherwise, I give back to you, Isabel.
Thank you. I don't see Susanna or Tom wanting to join you. Maybe my last call for last question. So let's look at Slido to see if we have received new question. I don't see Slido.
There is one question.
Okay, thank you. And who could reply to this question of minimum requirement regarding pedestrian numbers and skills? Is one of you aware of this requirement in certain cluster?
I don't know exactly what the question is about. I guess it refers to the last project, large-scale demonstration project, but there is no minimum requirement regarding pedestrian numbers and skills. No, clearly no.
Thank you. I see a new question coming. Will there be a chance to clarify points, raise questions for the specific topics at a later stage? Contact point, general question, Ludger.
I mean, we are always there to try to clarify questions at a later stage. I think we can give our names for those who don't know us. We have given the names at the beginning of the session. So my name is Ludger Rogge, working at the European Commission, and maybe we can also add our email addresses in Slido. I don't know if there is a possibility to do that, but of course we are available for any kind of questions you might have on the topics later on.
Thank you very much for this. So I am still waiting a few seconds to see if there is a new question coming, and if not, we are.
But maybe Isabel, on the questions, I think the general way is that these questions will be raised through the tenders portal and the frequently asked questions, and then they will get through us, and then we can, of course, take care of all the questions you might still have.
Indeed, it is a very good point, so that everybody sees the question and the answer, so it can be useful for everybody. Indeed. No question in Slido? No new question for the time being? If not, I propose that we close the session now. Looking at you again, Ludger, do we need to provide other information, or can we simply close the session? No new information, no latest information?
Don't think that there are now coming new comments in. I mean, what you can say is that the slides and the videos, of course, will be available. I think you said that already. And that's it. Maybe also we can apologize again, because we have seen some of the comments in Slido that there have been some major issues of connection and streaming. And of course, we really apologize for that.
Indeed. Maybe then I will close the session by thanking our speakers, so Ludger, Susanna, Tom, Geert, who have made a good presentation. I would like also to thank the team which is behind the scene and trying to make this virtual event a success. Thank you for you. Thanks to you, because we know that it is still difficult to do something which is quite good in this virtual world. I wish you all good preparation of very good proposal, because you see that we have some expectations. So now this is your turn to submit very good proposal. Thank you all and see you soon. Bye-bye. you.